Let's have a minute to remember Baba, to invoke Baba. Baba Dada, my beloved. Thank you for being in my life. Thank you for always guiding me. Thank you for all the knowledge you share. So sweet Baba Dada has come into my life. The Murli, I was journeying. It's a beautiful year. I think that we're going, that we are discussing 1984. I think we all know what a significant year it was for Brahmins. A wonderful time when Baba gave us a special challenge, a different challenge that no one expected. And I think it really opened up the way to see Baba just not on a surface level, but it opened up the mysteries that God can hold for us and how God has a different way of training us. So the Murli I picked up, it's dated the 7th of March, 1984 is what we're discussing. The title is Only Karmatit Souls in the Stage of Retirement are Instruments for Service of Intense Speed. So I was reading the Murli, there were a few points that were of knowledge, of course, but that really touched me. There was a line in that when Baba often says in Hindi that where there is Bab, so where there is my father, there cannot be sin. Where there is Bab, there cannot be Pap. So that got me thinking that what significant God has in my life, what significant God holds for me, and what elements he brings into my life, and how much interested am I in bringing God into my life. Because that is such a powerful line when God says that where there is God, there cannot be any sin. And checking ourselves, I think I found that there are many moments, I'm not, there's probably days and hours, but there are many, many moments in the day when I forget God, when I forget Baba. Overall, of course, I am very good on my Brahmin journey. We all are, we do Amrit Vela, we invoke Baba. We have time blocks, when I'm eating or when I'm cooking food, when I have the traffic control time, when there's evening meditation, or there's special times when I consciously set time blocks for myself to remember Baba. But then also there are many times in between, then of course I'm forgetting Baba. And forgetting is something that I don't need to make effort for because I get so busy in other things. And my brain and my mind is so used to thinking about other things that of course, it automatically forgets Baba. It's not that we always think waste or we always think wrong things. It could be something not so negative. It can just be something necessary that we're doing. But am I remembering Baba at that time? So within those moments when I'm doing other things, when I'm not God conscious, am I committing sin? So I was churning that because, of course, in those moments, I have slipped into not remembering Baba, or, I've slipped into thinking mundane things. So that powerful line that Baba says, and it kept going on in my mind that where there is God, there cannot be sin. So, of course, when I'm not remembering Baba in those moments, am I committing sin? And sin is such a big word, it's such a heavy word. But I think what it brought about for me, is a sense of responsibility and a sense of what God's vision is for us. For each one of us, God has such a high vision. Baba wants us. He sees us in our original state. Even we might go, well, I've done really well. Today I did a 8, 10 hour, 12-hour bhakti. I was so busy the other hours. I was very busy in doing Baba's seva. I was reading Murli, I was churning Murli, I was giving the course, or I was sitting down giving Sakash. My mind was busy, my hands were busy, my words were busy, my mouth was busy. So in all those directions I was talking, I was doing something positive. But if I don't consciously bring about God into my awareness, so being God conscious, again, am I committing sin? So where there is God, there cannot be sin. And Baba, and I think linking that back to my efforts that I make, I'm doing good things, but am I able to check myself on that minute level? I'm doing good things, I'm doing service, I'm putting my time to the best use I can. But the vision God has for me, the vision Baba has for me, is there still a gap in understanding? Of course, there's always a gap because we are effort makers, but how much of a gap there is regarding what vision God has for me, what vision Baba has for me, and what I think is okay to do. I still use my brain, I still use my capacity, my intellect to go, this is, I did pretty well today. There are days when I know I've done well, but is that enough? So the vision Baba has for me is how high that every moment I should be absorbed in Baba. And I think it can, I don't know if I can say that categorically, but it must be that it is possible that for God to make such a statement, it must be possible. It's not that, I don't know again, because I don't think I personally not experienced. I'm not sure how many of us have. And if anyone would like to share, if you've experienced a day or a moment or even an hour, a full hour when you're completely absorbed in Baba's consciousness. I'm not saying that we're sitting for meditation. A lot of us can do that. Many of us can sit for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, sometimes even absorb sitting in Baba's remembrance. But how conscious am I that I'm sitting for God, that my consciousness is completely for God? So where there is God, they cannot be seen. What a lovely line. And they got me thinking so much and checking. I think it was such a lovely point to check how far, how far am I from my journey of completion, which was the title that the Baba gave in the Murli. And that was a big chunk of the Murli that Baba wants us. He sees us in our karmatit stage. He went through the 3 stages. There's the childhood stage when when you're new BKs and you're still just grasping on and you're still being childish and you're still being a little bit careless in your life. Then there is the youthful stage. So when you have a little bit of confidence in yourself that, yes, I'm a BK, and you can connect to God, with confidence, you can sit and you can read the Murli, you have interest in Baba, you have interest in service. So now you pass that stage as well, the stage of being a youth. The youth is very, Baba used the word Mahavir, so we're very strong. So we have the zeal and enthusiasm. We all go through the stages when we pass when we're completely careless and carefree, and it's just Baba who's, he's holding us in his arms and he's giving us sustenance. And then we come to the youth stage when we're fully in service. We're very excited. We have a lot of zeal. We are Mahavirs, as youth is, we're full of energy. But Baba's saying you've passed that as well. Now you're in the vanprasth, the retirement age. So now as Brahmins, and that's every Brahmin, it's not a time gap that for the first 5 years or the first 10 years you are this and then you move on. I think it's just a mindset that Baba wants us to come into, that now I am in my Brahmin retirement stage. So what does the Brahmin's retirement stage mean? Even if we look logically, I think retirement is a lot about when there's a sense of contentment in your life. You've done the hard yards. You've done everything you wanted to, the job you wanted, the house you wanted, the family you wanted to create, the city you wanted to settle in. You've used all that zeal, that energy, that youthful energy you had to create a certain life for yourself. And slowly, when there's a decline in your 60s, 70s, 80s, later into your life, you sort of, a lot of the people, generally they're in retirement age, you just want to sit back and relax. A lot of us say we live for our children now, for the children, the grandchildren, to give them sustenance, to give them help, to aid them in their lives, or start a lot of philanthropic work. A lot of retirees, they'll start doing religious things. They'll start going to pilgrimages, or they'll start, touring around, holidaying. There's also a lot of charities they can start. I've built a certain I've built some wealth, I've built knowledge, I've got experience, I've got the manpower, I've got the resources, I've got the time. So let me do something worthwhile for the society. Open an ashram, open a hospital, open a school, go teach kids, go help out children on the street, things like that, sharing your experience. So that stage of being retired. So Baba's wanting us, wanting us to be, not wanting us to be, I think he sees us like that you've lived the 5,000 years, you've experienced everything that your heart wanted to. You've taken every single birth. So every birth is a different experience for me. If I see I've taken 84 births, they are all different experiences. I've lived the complete age. I've lived completely as a extremely happy, very pure, what my extreme 100% golden ages. So I've lived that. Then I've slowly, when my energy is decreased, I've lived in a different direction, a different way. I've also done when the world flips and the copper age starts. I've also lived all of those experiences, different experiences my soul wanted to try out. There's different, at each birth, I would probably think is to experience, probably build a few virtues in us, strengths in us, to test ourselves in different things. And I read somewhere, I think a while ago, that in a book actually, um, that each birth, before you take each birth, and I think that does ring true for us, BK, is that before you take each birth, you kind of set like a blueprint for your life. So it's not that you randomly, drop. Of course, according to your karmas, what power you have, what links you have, what attachments you have, what negativities you have, all of that inclusive. But each birth, you design a life on what your soul wants to experience or what it wants to gain. For example, I might set myself that in this lifetime, in a previous lifetime, I was in the army. So I've done a lot of battles. I've stood up for what's right. I've fought for other people. I've done a lot of hard work. My brain's tired, my soul's tired, my body's tired. There's a lot of injuries. There was a lot of responsibility. So in one birth, I've done that. So in next birth, when I've left my body and taking a new one, maybe I'll sort of have a roundtable discussion with my close ones, my peers, and I might up there before I take birth that this birth I'd like to just learn how to relax. I would like to learn how to just enjoy nature. I would like to. So there's a learning in each birth that we take, but there's also something that we experience, of course, through that. So it's not just a birth that we've taken. Of course, there's karmic bondages, and then there's links and what people I'm connected to, but also what my heart wants. What my soul needs. So each before I take each birth, there's a blueprint that I make for myself with the help of hopefully I'm connected to the highest angels, and with their energy I can take a birth. So those experiences I go through. So we as Brahmins, being in our last birth or our first birth, as however we like to see it, last birth, first birth, we've lived all of those experiences, and hopefully we've done the right done the right things and filled my heart and because I've been connected to the highest angels who can guide me properly and can take me in the right direction. So I've lived everything that I wanted to. So now, no matter how old I am in the stage. Of course, not looking at my external circumstances. I'm still doing what I need to, looking after my business, my kids. If I'm not if I'm in my teens, I'm going to school. So I'm not saying any of that, but in my soul journey, I'm at my retirement age. So even as a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, if I have that awareness that I am the Purvajatma, that I am the Atma, that God wants to use me to sustain everyone. So now in my retirement age, I am using my wealth of experience that I've accumulated for 5,000 years. And now I'm going to use that energy to help everyone. So now Baba wants us that you in your retirement age. Now it's your job. It's a different experience again for us to help other people, that they will move forward now. So no more being, we are no more in our childhood stage, so we shouldn't be carefree, careless. We shouldn't be too much. Energy is there, of course, we have excitement, but there is a difference between, it's an internal checking that we do, isn't it? How I like to project my energy. Am I in a contented stage, or am I still searching for some sort of fame, or am I still searching for some sort of what's the word? Am I still looking for validation from other people? Because that validation, if I've already lived all of that at this retirement age, I think I should be beyond that. Or that's what Baba wants us to be. That I now see you, Baba sees us as karmatit retired people. That now I've contented everything. Now my job is just to be an instrument for Baba and to make sure that my energy is being used to help other people. There was big lines that Baba had used, and I had not that Baba wants. Can you see? Can you see? Have you imbibed for all the times the treasures that you have received? And do you see other souls coming and asking you for help? So Baba has, I'll just quote a line and then we can discuss that. The majority of souls will come to you, children, who are karmatit, in the stage of retirement. The great donors and bestowers of blessings are begging for liberation. So that got me thinking that, Baba makes these huge statements that, you are karmatit, you are the great donors. So now souls are coming to you asking for liberation. So how will they come to me? I have this image. I don't know how everyone else thinks how they will come to me. But I was looking into my life and thinking that it's usually the people or where my gap of where I need to fill myself up a bit more, and where my gap of thinking still needs to improve, is that usually there's people around me, that there's somebody that ticks me off, somebody that frustrates me. Whether it's someone that's been doing it again and again and over a long period of time, or it might just be someone that I've met randomly and I've had a brief meeting with them, and they've gone their own way. But they've triggered something in me that I'm not comfortable with. So I was thinking maybe that's something that they've triggered in me. Say, for example, frustration, or they've made me peaceless. So maybe that soul has come in the form of wanting something from me. So they frustrated me. They've made me upset. Maybe that's a blessing that, I've realized that frustration that I'm experiencing is what that soul's trying to communicate to me. If not consciously, of course, not consciously, but maybe subconsciously, if I go if I create a swaman for myself, a stage for myself, that I am a great donor as Baba wants me to be. So they've created something negative inside of me. Maybe that is something that they are seeking. So that same energy that I experienced of anger or a little bit that I want to move away from them, that being uncomfortable, maybe that is what they need. So how will they come to me? Liberation, maybe it's a little bit easier if we see, well, Baba gives the example that they come to you in front of your idols throughout half a cycle. They come and they beg in front of your idols. And I think mostly when people go into temples and when they do the hard yards to go and on pilgrimages and ask for something, they usually not very happy. They usually go in the times of distress. They need something that they don't have. Even if it's something, life's perfect, but they'd still like to go and say, uh, Mata, whatever, Guruji or Shivji or whatever, they go and ask, can you give me peace? So that peace is somewhere missing, or they feel that it might be missing in them. So now it's a different form of me now. I'm no longer sitting in a I'm no longer sitting inside a temple, and maybe I don't know how expansive my vision is and how far I can see. But if they've come to me in a physical form and they've triggered something in me, maybe that is the energy I can give back to them as a sitting on my seat of self-respect. That yes, this is what Baba wants me to do, and all I have to do is invoke Baba, call Baba's energy and then give that soul that energy, rather than sometimes we get in this loop of, I have too many karmic bondages, I have too many this is not finishing off. So rather than having this burden on myself that, I've done so much sins in the 63 births and I've accumulated so much and I need to finish off my karmic bondages. Baba set us up in the stage of karmatit. You already are karmatit. Now you just need to act accordingly. So my actions might have a little different fragrance in them. So, I'll still have that karmic bondage with them, perhaps, but now my stage is higher. So rather than looking at myself or putting myself down, that, I have to finish all this work off, my starting point can be, or at least my thought, my positive elevated thought can be that I am already karmatit. Now I have something to do. This is my seva. This is the service that I can disembark. This is something I need to do, and just give them that energy that they seek. And the easiest way is whatever they've triggered in me is the same energy. So, sorry, not so. If they've triggered something negative in me, what do they need as an opposite of that? If they've triggered helplessness in me, if I feel cornered, or if I feel sad, so then I just give them happiness. If I feel cornered, then I can invoke the energy of being free. But actually, we're all free, to it's literally each soul is by themselves. When you are in Paramdham, each soul has their own place. There is no attachment. There is no dependency. There is no sense of being trapped or being forced to do anything. It's each soul for themselves. It's just, I think now, because our energies are so entangled, or we feel like they are so entangled, they actually might not be. It's just sometimes we get into our brain too much and we go, no, this is a burden. This is something I need to wash off. I have too many of this. So that was another interesting point that got me churning what the Murli, or what Baba wants, how Baba might want us to see a different perspective of myself. And I think it's probably not the easiest. If I can say honestly, it's probably not the easiest to see yourself on such a high level, like have a high stage. I don't know if it's the sense of, we feel like it's ego, perhaps sometimes, that Mm, I don't know, because it's a different vision. Because many times I like to read the Murli on the perspective of God. That okay, I try to just not think and just go. I'm a zero. Like I have nothing to do. I am not born. I don't have a body. I don't have any relations. I am just a zero, like a nothing. So just try to read the Murli according to that, and then what Baba wants, what vision Baba has for me. just reading the Murli on face value. And I think that's a nice way to read the Murli, not putting too much of my own brain and not assigning a certain things and not imbibing a few things and leaving out a few things because sometimes maybe we feel like we're not worthy or we're not enough to take those things inside of us. And also sometimes we also try to be a little bit smarter than Baba and say, well, I'm already that. I'm already that. I already know that point. So getting too much into my brain, and Baba says, remember me alone. I think a lot of us just listen to that or read that and, oh, yeah, of course, Baba says that every day. But sometimes just pick up the Murli and read every line as ground zero. Like there's no expectations. I have no brain. I have no previous learnings. I'm just picking up the Murli, reading each word and going, yes, Baba. He wants me to remember him. That second, remember Baba. And that allowing Baba's energy inside of me and putting my ego aside for at least that half hour, 40 minutes, and allowing that power that God has inside of me, I think has a huge, it's a different realm I feel sometimes. Because, as we are saying, of course of course it's not always easy what Baba says, because it's a complete opposite to what the Kali believes is right. There was a Murli we were chanting a few days earlier that Brahma Baba, he didn't have any roadmap for what it means to change yourself completely. He was perfect being according to Kali. According to Kali, he had a great business, he had a great family, lovely relations, lovely house. According to Kali, it was all perfect. But then when God comes, he turned everything on its head. He flipped everything. He flipped his life in and out. He churned. It's like he literally put him in a washing machine and he's just tumbling here and there on a roller coaster and he don't know what's going on. But that's the faith Baba had. That's the faith Baba had in himself. That's the faith Baba had in God. So Brahma Baba's faith is it's marvelous, and it's such a wonderful example for us. So if I apply that to my life, letting God say sometimes the bizarrest of things that I can't even imagine. I think that's a wonderful way to read the Murli, and that's a wonderful little experience to change my life. And it's a lovely experience to hold in my heart. And I think I'll link that back to, before we open up the floor, I'll link that back to the wonderful line we started with, that where there is God, there cannot be any sin. Where there is Bab, there cannot be Pap. So letting God in my every second of my being, whether it's doing something BK related, non BK related, Lokik, alokik, whatever it is, allowing God inside every single moment of my being. So those were the few things I wanted to share. Hopefully that's triggered something in us, positive or negative. And we'll open up the floor if anyone would like to comment further, share a few things.
Om Shanti. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Every Murli, as you said, has its own perspective. And I've been experiencing this in these Avyakt ones. Every Murli, I don't know, he gives a different perspective. So whenever, even as you said, I read that Murli or it's read, I listen to it in that perspective, in that content what it's given, and I note down. But the next day I find it's a different perspective. It's a beautiful perspective. That's what is the wonder of Baba's, these Avyakt ones. Even I liked what you said about the Bap and Pap. But earlier, I used to always think, see, your definition of sin, Baba is saying, when there is no Bap. But we have always learned sin means when there is impurity. Sin means when there are five vices. That's the thing. But here, how clearly Baba says, maybe you've forgotten me. So as you've forgotten me, you got confused in your own problems. You got confused in your own problems and you looked at your weaknesses. When you looked at your weaknesses, you didn't look at others. Then how will you be able to do what I want you to do? So that the thing about remembrance is what I think that's the new definition where he gave here for sin. That is one way I looked at it. Sin means I always took it as impurity. Then you were talking about this retirement stage. When the Murli was read for the first time over here, we were analyzing the difference between, in the normal Hinduism and over here the retirement. It's so beautifully categorized, if you see, even in Hinduism, childhood, and then how adult, and then the whole grahastha stage in every responsibility. And then comes the vanaprastha. And in vanaprastha, you cannot go to the forest if you have not done your grahastha well. Your karma should be done well. If your karma is not done well, you cannot go to the vanaprastha stage. And once the vanaprastha kya rakha hai, everything, I'm at the end of the bliss and I attain moksha. I always used to love that stages. But over here, Baba makes it so simple because when I get God, when I just get his touching, I feel the childhood stage of what we had is beautiful. Every second we are with the Lord. But I don't know what happens once that childhood goes. Probably we become too robust in God's love, something happens. So in adulthood, what a kind of flickerings, a kind of yahan bhi ek pair, wahan bhi ek pair, a thing of saying, oh, nothing wrong, I've got God in me. Sab kuch ho jayega, drama will take care. So I feel for us, what is the retirement stage? Because I would like to know what is my vanaprastha. It's not that just because I got the knowledge, everything is over, then sitting. No, I think the kind of spiritual disciplines which he has put in us, a connection, an education, and then a consciousness which he has defined throughout the day. Itself is a retirement every day. It's not a question. That's what even I I feel. So for you, and you mentioned with, which is what I want to ask you, that we are already karma. I always had that question, and in every murli I used to revise it. I still feel no, I have still something somewhere where some old karmic accounts pull me, old karmic bondages pull me. So if I am karma thief, hey, my God, I'll be just flying. And that what Baba said, the angelic form, the powerful form, the master, almighty authority. You know, when you want to become a doctor, they give you some titles. And then they say you have to go for some practical thing. Here also Baba gave us all the basic knowledge. And then for practice, he says, now practice bodiless, practice karmatic angelic form, practice complete perfect form. Then go and do the surgery. Then go and think about bestowing donation to the people. It's so much full of things. So sometimes I feel, no, I have not reached the karma state. So with that, I just wanted to ask you, like each one of us, there's always a question, am I in the karmatic stage? I feel no, that stage is something absolutely like when Brahma Baba became Abhyakt, the day, last day, that was when he felt complete. And then he became Abhyakt and then karmatic. I think for that stage, for we all Brahmins to reach, I don't know, when is the final thing talk on? These are the few things which kept me churning in the book. Thank you.
Yeah, that's lovely, sister. That's very nice. Just to touch on a few things that I think when we, again, I think that was the point that Baba wants us to be, that me being karmatit. You mentioned Brahma Baba very nicely that of course there was like a literal time stamp that, when it's, 18th August 1969, when we know he became completely karmatit and completely avyakt. But you cannot just become avyakt on the last day. You cannot become karmatit on that particular date. It's your life journey, how you see yourself. It's bahut kal ka abhyas. It's what you've practiced throughout your life is what you experience at the last stage. So if throughout my life I'm experiencing, I still have a huge gap. I still have a lot of things I need to cover. There's a lot of karmas I need to unburden. There's a lot of things I need to learn. There's a lot of virtues I need to fill in myself. If that's what I feel every day, that's what I will be at my end stage as well. And this is not to be careless. This is not to be foolish. And of course, I don't think any of us are like that because we do make effort. And that's what we make effort for. But I have to see myself how Baba sees me. How does Baba see me? He doesn't just see me. Baba many times says, I see you as in your trikal, throughout the three times, trikal darshi stage. What is that? What you were is what you're becoming. So am I just stuck in the present extreme Kalyug where I feel and I know it's not that I'm creating that up. I know I have a lot of burden. I know I have a lot of things I still need to clear out. I know there's a lot of virtues I don't just automatically, they are not ever ready. If somebody comes and yells at me, screams at me, there will be something negative that comes in me. But I cannot have that vision for myself. I cannot see myself like that. I cannot see myself because if I constantly see myself like that, that's what I am becoming as well. Because my energy is flowing in that sense of gap, that sense of being less of, there's a lack of. My energy is flowing just for the Kalyugi, which is, this is my last birth. In all honesty, this is my last birth. So this is the worst I can be. But this is also the best I can be. So it's my perspective on how I see myself. It's because my vision is so limited. I have this tiny little, I know this birth and I know a few things about myself which are coming up in this birth. I don't know myself completely, do I? I don't know how I lived in the golden age. I don't know where my 73rd birth was, what experiences I was having then. I can create those. And, when Baba says, go to Param Dham. So I can create, it's in my subconscious, but consciously I'm not aware of how I was then. The eternal truth, the eternal truth is that I am a complete being, extremely pure. That's the eternal truth. Extremely pure, extremely powerful, just like God. So my power is completely complete. It's like God. And that's a very hard truth to accept because I only see and why that's hard is because I see myself in this limited birth. I see myself with, according to the parameters of me living in my last birth in Kali. Did you want to?
Sister, there was just one question in the Murli, which really I never got an answer to. See, they are calling out to you as bestowers of blessings and great donors, and you are crying with an off mood. I never liked that sentence of Baba because I felt it had never happened that when somebody called out for some blessing and donor,
Yeah.
and Baba also says, your hot tears reach them. That really hit me. So I want to know what is this off mood which Baba is talking about, and what are these hot tears?
So that's when I am in not my self-respect, seat of self-respect, if I can say, when I'm living my mundane life. Somebody's come, they've overtaken me, or I'm driving on the road and someone's come and, driven very rashly and they've done the wrong thing by me. What are the thoughts that I create? Something negative's happened. What are the thoughts that I create?
Yeah, something bad about it.
Something bad
But
about it.
he doesn't
So
know what is right. I know what is
exactly.
right.
So I might say a few bad words to him physically, but of course my mind is on this roll of how dare you, don't you see how dangerous that is? That's what my brain is doing, right? That's what my mind is creating. So that's me crying hot tears because I am in a lower realm. I'm in a lower stage. I am not seeing myself that even at that very dangerous moment when, he could have crashed into 20 people and done the wrong thing, am I still able to create the most blessings for that person or for the soul or for the situation? I'm not. And that's a practical thing. And that's where Baba picking us up as well, that, on a sitting at Amrit Vela at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m., I give wonderful sakash to everyone. But when I go out into my life, somebody comes, my neighbor comes and breaks down my door, because they're encroaching into my land. What do I do? This is wrong, that's wrong. I'm not saying physically what steps we take. You call the police, you do what you need to. But my mind, is my mind in the stage of being giving? Am I in my stage that I am the highest soul at that point of time? I'm the one God's made instrument. If you bring Baba into your consciousness, God's made me instrument to give this soul a lot of sakash. Someone's encroaching in my land. They are hungry. They want something that they feel is missing inside of them. How sad are they? If I see something from that perspective, what energy will flow rather than saying, how dare you? Everybody in the world knows the legal papers says that this inch is mine, that foot is yours. How dare you encroach? But my mindset, my energy flow should be, oh my God, this person is crying out for help. This soul really needs help. So God's made me the instrument. So rather than, going on this rampage of telling them they're wrong, coming into my powerful stage in my self-respect, and then just giving that soul what they need. And then a lot of times, if I may add, when we give, we expect. So I don't know if that's really called giving, because a lot of times I will say, I'm giving, my neighbor's doing something wrong. So I'm going to sit every day at 3 a.m. and give them a lot of sakash. So after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, I'll check, have they changed? Have they changed? Oh no, they're even getting worse. They're even getting worse, and they're doing even more horrible things, not just to me, but to other people now. They're doing even more horrible things. So then my stage of giving becomes result oriented. I become, if I'm not seeing the results, then I go, that was pointless. So then I bring my stage down. So if I take every situation and bring that back for myself, yes, drama's going on. A lot of things are happening. I need to have certain things in place to live in this Kali Yuga as well. Be sensible, be reasonable, protect myself. But from Baba's perspective, from a Sangam Yugi confluence age perspective, Baba wants, what does Baba want from me? They are doing horrible things. Them changing is not when I become Karmatit. I gave Sakash for 10 years to that soul, so lovely, and they still don't have a single nice thing to say about me. Doesn't matter. What did I create in me? I created that I am the perfect being. God said you are the great donor. So I don't create helplessness for myself. Controlling other people, changing other people, that is not for me to do. That is none of my business. My thing, my homework, my task that God's given me is what He clearly says in the Murli. You are the great donor. So when a little person, a random car has come and done something dangerous, your doctor's given you the wrong medicine on purpose, they've done something which does happen in Kali Yuga. A lot of things happen. They do things for money, they do things for fame, they'll do things because their ego. A lot of things happen like that. But I cannot respond to Kali Yuga. If I'm responding to Kali Yugi energy as helplessness, then I'm not on my confluence age. I'm going back to Kali Yuga. Does that probe a few more questions in us?
Beautiful, sister. I now understood what's that off mood and how to come on mood, how to be what Baba wants me to. I think every activity, that's very nice point, Pachana. Thank you very much, sister.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to
Om,
share?
Om Shanti, sister.
Om Shanti.
Wonderful chanting, and I enjoyed the Murli session. There are three stages Baba brought out during this Murli. One is the childhood stage, when the soul is weak and gets influenced by problems because of own weaknesses. Second is the youthful stage, where Maya Jeet, where the soul is Maya Jeet and Mahavir, that is, it is beyond being influenced by the problems. So it doesn't have, it's a powerful stage, youthful stage, energetic stage where there's no weakness, full of vigor and energy. And third is the karmatit stage of retirement, that is Vanaprastha stage, where the soul is even beyond this level. It is even higher level than the youthful stage, where the soul
Yes.
is liberating other souls. Soul has got accumulated so much attainment, so much power. Uh, Soul batteries having so much power that it can energize other souls for liberation in life. So that was one aspect I wanted to bring out, that from this Murli,
Mm.
wonderful aspect which I taking as a takeaway and taking as a check off point which stage I am right now. Om Shanti.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I think that's very wonderful what Baba touched on, that what stage am I in? Because in childhood, I think that's when Baba, Baba holds us very lovely in his arms and he takes us everywhere. And then slowly we have the confidence, we become Mayajit. I know how to give Sakash. I know how to do yoga. I know how to link to Baba. I know how to see other souls. I know about drama. I know how to apply all of these points. So that's my youth. And then when in retirement, I'm beyond even all of that. Now I just live for the experience and I live to just give to everyone. Anyone else would like to share?
Sister, any idea how Baba is looking at the soul, I mean the children, which stage he would be seeing at me or you or anyone who is a Brahmin soul?
I think Baba always, I don't know how Baba thinks, but what I, pick up from this particular Murli is, he's the knower of, and Baba often says that in a lot of Murlis, I see children in their perfect stage. I always see children as they truly are. And then he'll add, I know the three aspects of your time. So he knows my highest, purest being, and he knows my middle and how I come down, why I come down, and he sees me at my lowest as well. But the vision he has for me is that they are just playing. They are just playing. If you have a Lokik child and you know how beautiful they are, you dress them up nicely like a king, and then one day they have a play date and they're just playing in mud. So your vision doesn't change. Or if your child is an actor, or we see actors as well on in cinema as well. When we see them, our vision doesn't change, that that person suddenly become the character. Do they don't. I still know that Amitabh Bachchan is still Amitabh Bachchan. I don't see him as the role he has played. So that's probably how God sees us, that what am I? Because ultimately, and the truth, the ultimate truth is, even though we're all number wise, we're all completely pure. All of us are completely pure, just like Shiv Baba. This stage I come on to go through these stages and play different dramas, that's just a play. It's just a play. That's not the
Yeah.
real me.
Yes, yes, sister. So, what do you think? What should be the Brahmin children Purusharth to have the same vision as equal to Baba's vision for the child? What should be the Purusharth for the child to have the same vision as of the Supreme Father vision? I think that if you can bring out one line or two line, what should be the Purusharth?
Should be the Pushap. I think it's quite simple, really, and probably the hardest thing to do is invoke Baba in every action. what Baba said is where, the chunk of the discussion we had, where there's God, there cannot be any sin, and, the subtlety of sin as well. So, what in every thought I create, in every action I do, and that's, the more moments I can in capture, the more thoughts I can in capture, and just think, what would God think? Is this according to the Murli? Putting my ego self aside, and not ego in just the negative sense, but ego in the sense of my identity. This is what I know, this is what I believe, this is how my brain works, this is how good my intellect is, or how what my weaknesses are, what my body is, blah blah blah. So all of those egos, in an encapsulating word, ego, putting all of those aside as much as I can, and just allowing God to flow through me. And the more moments I can do that in is probably, and it's probably a conscious thing I can do, but letting that be the backtrack of my life. That when I'm living, every mundane things I do every day doesn't. I shouldn't really need to wait for uh, an event or a bad something to happen for me to remember Baba, which is what a lot of us will wait for. That something negative's happened, and now I need to invoke Baba and remember Baba, just as a backtrack of my, I'm living life on a peaceful, there's no big events happening, there's no bad some things that's happened, but just God is the backtrack. And constantly I'm thinking, and many times I think Brahma Baba used to share that he would constantly he's showering, he's cooking, he's wearing his chappal, he's changing clothes, just mundane things. What would God, how would God act? What thoughts would God want me to create? So maybe having the courage, and having the, probably I'd add the word humility as well. I'd add the word humility as well, to allow God to come in those mundane things as well. Every day, what's happening, just allowing God to come into my consciousness, and then thinking, how would God, do this? Does
Yeah,
that?
that while you were sharing this, I was visualizing that image of a chariot where God Himself is driving that chariot as a charioteer, and uh, Arjun, the soul, Brahmin soul, is just a spectator on sitting as a passenger, and just looking at how Krishna is visualizing, how is having the vision and which direction the chariot should go. That Krishna is Lord Krishna is doing it, and Arjun is even beyond that. He's just focusing on being in that state, what uh, the eternal. And I think that's, and if you can apply that same thing in the confluence stage also, Supreme Father is our charioteer who's driving the chariot of this. Chariot is our body, the karmendriyas, and the soul is the soul as a soul. My only purushart, I think that what I can make out from you is just being eternal, just being in that swaroop, uh, that eternal anadi swaroop, that I am just a child of God, and that's the biggest thing, biggest achievement, and biggest power.
Yeah,
Om Shanti. Thank you, sister.
I think
Sister, for
allowing.
me,
Om Shanti.
for me, it was just one word, what the brother said, which I believe a focus, manmana brother. I think I don't go even deep. Yeah, you said invoke God. For me, it's not invoking God only. Invoking means, it's a kind of an emotional thing which starts, oh, Baba, where are you, blah, blah, and all. But for me, it was Manmana Baba. It is
Yes,
Sunday today, Harman
Manmanabhav
sister.
describes it well, quite well. It's the essence of what we describe.
Yeah. It is Sunday, Harman Baba. I know the admin will not close. When you were speaking about the off mode, I remember when I was young, I'll say it very fast. There used to be a serial on TV called as Rajini, played by Priya Tendulkar. No, wherever anything was wrong, whether it's a collector's office, whether it was house, she used to go at that woman and set things right. And immediately in the face of Shakti, she was crowned. I used to feel I'm Rajini. I should set things right.
Mhm.
You know, I
Mhm.
used to even set God right. I remember asking Brahma Baba in one of the Padramani, when this
Mm.
Narayan Bhai went up, his son, I saw Baba giving him such a long line of drishti. I said, Baba,
Mhm.
he's maybe a son, but he's not now. You've detached. How could you go? And I remember one word that time where Baba said, corporeal laws or laws. I am not bound by them. So,
Mm.
that Rajini thing in me was locked. I have
Mm.
to set things right. And I think that has to be, that got diluted a bit. I just want, when you said no, I just wanted to share that upsurge which I used to have in Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Anyone else would like to share before we wrap up? I think I'll just add one last thing, which, and I think it's a wonderful point to have, that the more retired we become, the more later we go on to stay, or our later lives of our stages, the more contented I become. So I still I still see the gap that I need to fill. I'm still aware of the efforts I need to make, but I need to be content with my role. Each one of us has a role. That's what I need to be. God sees me, that the role I'm playing is just a role. That's not the real me. So I need to be content with the role I've chosen. Sometimes it might not resonate with me as much because I'm seeking other people's approvals, or I'm seeing my role from other people's perspective. So I need to be content with the role I'm playing. Not everyone can be number one. There is no competition that I need to, reach what Brahma Baba did. It's not a competition. It's an effort I make. I get inspired by him, but I cannot be Brahma Baba. Brahma Baba is Brahma Baba, and Mama being, as powerful as she is, she was still number two. There's a huge difference, Baba says, between number one and number two. But she's completely content with her role because she put she made every moment count. She made every second count. She made full use of the life she had, every moment she had. So that should apply to me as well. Whatever number I am shouldn't be a competition. I need to be content with what I am. And that contentment, I think, only comes when you are playing your role very honestly. You have to let things play. You cannot force change. You cannot want to become someone else. You have to be okay with what you are. But having said all of that, you need to allow God into your life. God is so powerful, but he cannot come into my life unless I allow him to. Because, it's the law. God has given us free will. He cannot come into my life unless I, physically, or not physically, I consciously invoke him and I consciously ask Baba, Baba, tell me what to do. Baba, tell me how to read the Murli. Baba, tell me what this point means. If I'm constantly in that rhythm of connecting to Baba, of talking to Baba, I cannot constantly be in my in Paramdham and sitting in extreme powerful yoga. I can't 24 hours, I can't be that. But other moments, I can be linked to Baba, and that's me being still yoga. That's still me being in remembrance. So that still counts. But my conscious needs to be with Baba. I can't assign important tasks to Baba, and I can't leave mundane tasks just for myself. God has to be a constant rhythm in my life. He has to constantly be a part of my every moment. And that's when I'll feel contented. And that's probably when I'll experience myself to be even more in my karmatit and my manprast avastha. Okay, wonderful. Okay, should we wrap up?
Yeah, there's a request, sister, for wrapping up. Look at the message.
Acha, okay. All right, lovely. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Your lovely energy. I came after a long time, so it feels really nice. So thank you for having me.
And we're waiting after a long time to hear your voice. So, meditation is your song.
Okay. What should we sing? We'll sing a Hindi song. Remember Baba. प्यारे बाबा मीठे बाबा प्यारे बाबा मीठे बाबा एक तू ही तो है बस हमारा तुझसे रोशन है सबका सितारा एक तू ही तो बस है किनारा प्यारे बाबा मीठे बाबा प्यारे बाबा मीठे बाबा मन में जो भाव तेरे लिए है खुश हो के पुण्य किए हैं तेरी बताई राहों को चुनकर खुशियों से वादे किए हैं मैंने जो चाहा मिला है अरमानों का गुल खिला है जानता हूँ तो चाहे मुझको दुआओं में रखना तो सबको मुझको तो है तेरा सहारा प्यारे बाबा मीठे बाबा प्यारे बाबा मीठे बाबा Thank you. Enjoy your Sunday. Have a lovely week ahead, everyone.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, Jawan family. Thank you, Happy Ben, for the soulful meditation experience. We shall meet tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Om Shanti.